Welcome, 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 geeks and nerds, girls and boys, to a brand new edition of Geek to Me Radio. Tonight, we have actor Eric Nelsen on talking about his role in Yellowstone's prequel 1883. We'll talk about a brand new bourbon for which he is the brand ambassador. We'll get into all that later. We'll talk to actress Laura Alema about her role in the upcoming series Casa Grande. All that and more. Stand by.
We're talking TV, comics and movies, and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek from Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, one ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
And if you're listening to us tonight in the greater St. Louis area on the big 550 KTRS, hello to all of you. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you're streaming us out there, we've got YouTube and Facebook going because Joey V's in the house tonight. So hello to all of you watching tonight. And of course, if you're hearing us on the KTRS app or on the website, hello, and thank you for finding us there. And as always, for those of you who listen to us after the fact in the podcast form on whatever platform you get your podcasts from, we do appreciate you finding us there and subscribing. And hopefully you've left us a nice 5-star review. I know I mention that every week, but that always makes Joey V very happy when we get a 5-star review for Geek to Me Radio. So if you haven't done that already, please do so on the podcasting platform of your choice. We greatly appreciate that very much. We've got two great guests, so we're going to dive right in. My first guest, we've actually had his wife on, Sainty Nelson, talking about all of her voice roles. What, Joey, probably a couple months ago back then? And now we get to talk to Eric about his role. He's got this great role in 1883, and I know it's a very popular series. A lot of people were, when I said I had Eric on the show, they said, oh my gosh, we're going to be listening to this for sure. So no pressure, Eric, but welcome to Geek to Me Radio.
Well, thanks so much. Thanks for making me nervous off the get. No problem.
It's such a, I mean, the cast for the show, Yellowstone on its own took off, and then they did the spin-off, the prequel, I should say, 1883. But this has been like nonstop starfest, just a huge drama. People are just engaged with this more than I can remember any other Western since my dad watched Gunsmoke as a kid. So talk a little bit, if you would, about getting cast for Enos in 1883.
Well, first of all, thanks for everything you said. That's just awesome. Yeah, really, it's still, I feel like I'm going to wake up from this dream one day and somebody's going to pinch me really hard and the fun's going to come to an end. But, it's been a dream, and the cast we've worked with, for everybody from Sam Elliott to Tim McGraw to Billy Bob Thornton. I mean, getting to hang out with Tom Hanks on set, like the whole thing was just absolutely incredible from beginning to end. But originally, when I first got the audition, they wanted me to read for the role of Wade, which was kind of my cowboy counterpart on the series. That we start the journey together, and he's kind of my best buddy on the show. And I sent in my tape for Wade, and they almost wrote back immediately to my agent, and they were like, "No, we think he'd be much more right for Ennis. Could he reread and read this character instead?" And then I did. And they wrote back almost immediately again and said, "We love him. We want to, what did they basically pin me?" Which is basically the step before they, officially give you the contract. But they're like, "We like you. We don't want you to take any other work. Just give us some time to figure out the logistics of everything, and we'll get back to you." Well, months go by, and I figured the whole thing is like done and over with. And right when I'm, mentally have moved on and assuming that it's not going to actually happen, I get a call from Taylor Sheridan himself, who's the creator of Yellowstone and, everything under the umbrella. And he basically was the first person to tell me that I got the job, and fell out of my seat. And I said, "When can I start?" He said, "We'll see you on set in 2 weeks." So it kind of was just a roller coaster from that moment.
And I know with we talked to Brian Krause about some of the stuff he got to do a Western, but they said he never let him ride a horse. You obviously do get to ride a horse several times in this series. Was there any with the training? Do you have to do any special training to ride the horses or anything like that, or is there any kind of work with the animals that you have to do like a special training before you shoot your scenes?
No, absolutely. And as most people saw on the show, I mean, 99% of what I do on the show is on a horse or surrounded by the horses and cattle. And, you know, so that was the most exciting part for me, honestly, was really getting to bond with those animals and getting to ride throughout the entire series. They actually put us kind of core lead cast members through a cowboy camp training, which was like, I felt like a little kid, like every day showing up and getting to, you know, put on the holster and ride a horse for 12 hours a day. It was unbelievable. But it was really hard. And, you know, we did have a lot of training. We officially had 2 weeks of everyday training before we started shooting. I had an extra week because I got lucky and I happened to I live close by Taylor Sheridan.
Oh.
And so he's like, well, if you want to start a week early, you can come out to the ranch and we can get cracking. And I was like, oh man, I'll be there every single day if you'll have me. So we spent a lot of time riding and roping and shooting guns and cutting cattle, everything we needed to learn that we were going to have to do on the show. He had us doing day in and day out. And this is the middle of the summer in Texas. So, you know, as you can imagine, we're all out there melting 12 hours a day under the Texas heat. But it was worth every single bead of sweat, I tell you.
Yeah, we're up here in St. Louis, so we have all that humidity, but I'm told in Texas it's a dry heat, so that should make it better somehow. I don't know how, but that's what we're always told. Oh, it's a dry heat.
Yeah, you know, we even get some humidity rolling in too, which is weird and crazy. It's like the weather seems to be pretty bipolar here.
Right.
But, you know, the sun is the sun, and it's blistered no matter which way you cut it. So it's and, you know, we're in there, and we even started training in some of our costume and stuff later into our training. And so, you know, we've got layers on layers of jackets and shirts and thermals, and, you know, because he's like, well, this is what you're going to be needing to do on the show, so we better start, you know, getting comfortable with it now type of thing.
Gosh.
So, you know, it was a lot. But when the adrenaline's pumping as fast as it was, and, you know, there's a bond you have with a horse that's unlike anything else, and it makes for magic. So all the rest of it, you don't even think about it till it's over, and then you're like, whoa, did I really just do that?
What was the part of the training, the cowboy camp, that surprised you the most? Because I would think, you know, I'm an animal lover, so, oh my gosh, I get to work with horses. Wow, I get to work with cows and cattle and everything. Was there a part that surprised you or was harder than you thought it was initially going to be when you first went in?
You know, I think I took it for granted because I grew up with horses and was around horses from my family and such. But, you know, we're not sitting on saddles from 2023. We're sitting on saddles from 1800s.
Wow.
And so I really quickly realized what happens when you sit on a saddle from the 1800s all day long for days and days and days. You're you know, you get bruises and cuts and sores in places you didn't even really know were places. So that was definitely the hardest thing for me was, you know, figuring out how to protect my body from just, you know, getting ripped to shreds on these. Basically, it's like riding a plank of wood.
Ouch. Yikes.
Yeah, so that was tough to adjust to, but, you know, ultimately we figured it out, and it was all part of, you know, getting that authenticity that it takes to create these roles and, you know, really portray what life was like back then. And, you know, that was all. Getting to experience it before filming it was actually a really, really big blessing that you don't get much on most TV and film sets because there just isn't time or money to put all their actors through, you know, multiple weeks before filming starts.
Sure.
So it was a true blessing, and really grateful to Taylor Sheridan that that's his kind of technique.
And my executive producer, Joey V, has pictures up. He had a picture up of you with Tom Hanks, and he had a picture up earlier with you and Sam Elliott, which, when it comes to Westerns, and just Sam Elliott, I can't imagine someone who's would be a bit more intimidating to meet on a Western set. The man just seems like he would know his way around everything on Earth, actually. But how was it working with Sam Elliott?
Oh man, you know, I'm trying to make eye contact with the guy. All I can stare at is his amazing mustache. It's just, you know, it was overwhelming. No, but in all seriousness, you know, you watch these actors that you love and all these movies that you love, and you get this like thought in your mind of who you think that person is, and then you get the opportunity to meet them, and you just pray that they're nice and they're somewhat of this human that you've imagined them to be. And he is that guy that you're like, wow, you just seem like you'd be the coolest, nicest, you know, greatest guy ever. And he is. So the fact that that happened and he was as great as I was hoping he would be, it just made it that much sweeter. And honestly, he'd give you the shirt off his back, and he did multiple times for people. He's just that kind of guy, and I would do anything to work with him again. He was truly a great leader, great team player, and just cared for everybody on set. It was a great experience getting to be around him.
And you're no stranger to working in some just fantastic projects. You've been on The Blacklist, The Following, Blue Bloods, and of course, you were also in All My Children, the revival of that, playing A.J. Chandler. My mom, that was her soap opera when I was very little. I remember her watching All My Children when it came on ABC all the time. But to work on all these projects, is there a role that you especially remember feeling like, oh my gosh, I've made it? Was it your role in 1883, or was it one of these other series where you kind of feel like you've got this Hollywood thing down now, and this is your thing now?
It's funny. I feel like throughout my career, I felt that moment at different times, and then this career has a great way of humbling you very quickly. Once the show's over, it's like, oh, okay, there is no real job security here. You've got to find the next one. So you're kind of always at the mercy of the studios and the network. So, right when you're up on that pedestal and you're feeling like life can't get any better, it finds a way to humble you real quick. But, it's funny because I've worked on so many different shows, and it's been, 17 years now. And this was the first show that I worked on, 1883, that my entire family enjoyed and loved.
Really?
They were all huge Yellowstone fans, and that's never happened. Like when I worked on All My Children, my mom, my aunt, my grandma, they all loved it, but not necessarily what my uncle was excited to sit down and watch, And when I work on these cop dramas, it's like, oh, okay, my cousins over here like it, but not necessarily something grandma would like to talk about, with her friends. This was the first show, I swear to God, no matter what the age of my family members, they all loved it, and it started with Yellowstone. And so for me, I felt like I made it because it was finally something I knew, everyone in my family got behind and was just so excited about. And obviously they support all my work, but it was nice for me to know that they all were able to sit down and truly enjoy this and not just pretend like they liked it to make me feel good.
Are you an actor who can watch? Some people don't like to watch their work once they've done it. Some people like to go through it for a critique. Some people just kind of, oh yeah, I'll catch it sometimes when it's on. Are you someone who goes back and watches your work when it comes back to see, okay, I want to change this? Are you very self-critical, or are you just kind of what you do out there? You trust the directors and the writers and yourself at this point to give the best performance, and you just kind of leave it out there on the field, as it were?
That's a great question. I feel like for different projects, I have a different answer for it. Generally, I'm not a fan of watching myself work because I am hypercritical, and I'll always find something to nitpick at, so I can't really enjoy it. But 1883 was unique in that it was such a massive scale production. Honestly, the biggest scale I've ever worked on production-wise. I mean, it was truly... Taylor Sheridan just does it next level. Sam Elliott told me 2 weeks in, he's like, Eric, it does not get bigger than this. And so to hear him say that, I was like, oh, man. But, so in this case, I watched everything because I was just so excited to see what he did with the rest of the show. Not necessarily to watch my work, but just to see all the actors that I spent so much time with do their thing. More, just out of... I was a fan of everyone that I did the show with, so I wanted to see them do the work, and I was a huge fan of Yellowstone coming into it, so it was more just about seeing it all come together. And, when we're out there with 1,000 people on set every day, and, you're out there in the middle of the Texas kind of hill country with the horses and the cattle, and we're swimming through the river, I'm just like, how is this going to translate on screen? So it was more just to, get to experience it as a viewer and a fan of the show, as opposed to watch myself.
And I would guess with a series like this, I have no idea, but I would make the supposition that this is all filmed. Like you said, it's all right there. You're in the open. You're in these places, these great locations in Texas and things like that, where you're actually going through. None of this is green screen. You're not doing it on a studio backlot. All this is shot right there. Am I correct?
That is correct. Generally when you're filming movies and TV shows, a lot of the times you're at, for example, Paramount Studios on their lot in a big warehouse type room, pretending like you're in New York City or pretending like you're where the story is taking place. But really you're just in a studio lot where they're making it all seem like it's where the story takes place, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
This 100% different situation. Taylor Sheridan is all about authenticity. So when we're talking about a place in the story, like when we're saying we're in the stockyards of Fort Worth to begin this cattle drive, we filmed it in the stockyards of Fort Worth. When we're talking about, being in a certain part of Texas out there on the trail, that's where we got to shoot it. So we really got to feel and, immerse ourselves in not only our work, but the landscape and everything around us that also brought the story together. It made it that much more believable because we're not pretending; we were actually living it in the place that we're talking about. So it's very unique, very cool. That rarely happens in film. So when it does, it's I'm going to say it over and over. It's it was a dream. It's very, very cool that Taylor does things the way he does.
Yeah, I can imagine. Wow, to even imagine it is impressive. Just because I've been down to Texas, and it's just some of the most beautiful country that you can see, especially the wide open areas where it's unsettled and things like that. It kind of makes you think about the way things were back in 1883.
Yep. Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And, so much of the state and the cities we shot in, like, they're just so proud that, their stories are being told. And, it's just amazing to kind of get to experience culture outside of, normal filming places,
right,
for lack of a better word, like LA or New York and, Atlanta now. So to see them get to experience it too, and for them to see their cities and their state of Texas and Montana get put on the map the way they did, it's life-changing for them, which is, so rewarding and fun to experience. So the support was amazing shooting down in Texas. I mean, everybody was cheering us on and, stay longer and what can we do and bending over backwards. Like, it's a culture and a support that you just don't feel many other places.
Very cool. And again, if you're just now tuning in, we're talking with actor Eric Nelsen about his role in 1883. Got a couple other things we want to talk about with him. Are you okay to stick with me through a very brief commercial break?
Yeah, you bet.
Perfect. If you're just now tuning in, stay tuned. We're going to take a small break. We're going to come right back and continue our chat with Eric Nelsen. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS. Please stand by.
And when you need it most, you hit your turbo power to make the pass. Nothing else even comes close. Turbo Porsche Racers and Turbo Indy cars. Only from Tyco RC. The thrill of off-road racing is coming home. It's Racing Hopper's Electric Racing. You get the jump on the competition. Your Racing Hopper blasts full bore up Monster Mountain. You dive fearlessly over the top and cut him off as you blast for the boulders. Then you squeeze him out and leave him up a creek. You don't dare back off even when you want to most, because winning off-road takes skill and guts, especially when it's Racing Hoppers. Racing Hopper's Electric Racing, new from Tyco, of course. This is the world of outlaws. Turbo Outlaws. Radio-controlled machines. The most awesome, open-wheel, action-packed, dirt racing monsters ever built. With outlaw moves and outlaw skill. From Tyco RC. Just hit the turbo trigger for turbo power and lead into the draw. Because there's a little outlaw in all of us.
Hi everyone, my name is Julian Glover. I'm an actor and I'm here on Geek to Me Radio.
We are back. Geek to Me Radio, heard here every Sunday night on the Big 550 KTRS. I'm your host, James Enstall. Very quickly, want to tell you about our premier sponsor, which is, of course, the City of St. Charles, the Greater St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau. My longtime listeners will know the website discoverstcharles.com. That's discoverstcharles.com. It's a great place to visit. We were just out there for their St. Charles in Bloom Festival. Gorgeous displays all up and down. The merchants really go all out and put all these beautiful flowers out. There's a parade, Lewis and Clark Fife and Drum Corps out there. If you've not visited St. Charles lately, there's probably something new you haven't discovered. Every time I go down there, there's a new restaurant or a new shop has opened up. And that's one of the things that I love about this is because that entire area is made up of these small businesses. And especially in this economy, it's never been more important to support small businesses where you can. Brand new restaurant, for example, opened up. Used to be the Tompkins house. Used to be the mother-in-law house. It's now the main house. And they had a nice limited menu because they just opened a week ago. So as I said, there's always something new down there. But we popped in a couple of new shops that we hadn't visited before. We're huge fans of the bakery right there, Sugar and Slice. They have these ginormous cinnamon rolls that are going to send me into a diabetic coma one day. But if that's the way I go, I'm fine with it. If you haven't visited, like I said, lots of outdoor activities, lots of things to do. If you're from outside the listening area, maybe you're watching us and you're not in the greater St. Louis, St. Charles area, like my guest Eric, he's down in Texas, and you want to plan someplace new to visit, go to the website, start your trip there, discoverstcharles.com, discoverstcharles.com. There's never a bad time to visit, and there's always something cool going on. A lot of upcoming festivals. We'll talk more about that as the year progresses, so make sure you keep it tuned here and make sure you go check out the website. Once again, discoverstcharles.com. As we always say, it's an historically good time. Chatting for just a little bit longer here with my guest, Eric Nelsen. We were talking all about his role in 1883. You're a brand ambassador for a brand new bourbon, Bucking Bull Bourbon. I take it you are a bourbon guy. And then they were like, hey, we like your image. We like, as they say, the cut of your jib. We'd like you to be a brand ambassador. Is that kind of how it came about?
Yeah, basically. I'm also actually a partner in the company.
Oh, brilliant.
So not... kind of the face to kind of, get it in the public eye and get us where we need to get. But I am a partner in the bourbon as well, in Bucking Bull brand. So it's an exciting time for us. And, we're a Texas bourbon, so we pride ourselves on that. And we just launched a couple weeks ago, and we're basically all over Fort Worth at this point. And we're in Dallas, and now we're in Houston and Austin. So we really want to make our footprint Texas, and then we're going to completely spread out from there. But yeah, it's an incredible bourbon. It's been so much fun being on another side of the just in another industry in general. Learned a bunch, and it's been a blast. I mean, it really has.
I feel like the liquor kind of goes in cycles, and I feel like bourbon's really making a strong comeback in the past couple of years because I seem like when I go to restaurants, there are more and more bourbon cocktails listed on the menu. So my question to you is, if I'm going to go buy some Bucking Bull, usually if I'm just drinking it neat or straight, I'm kind of like a Basil Hayden toast. If I do mixing with stuff, like if I'm making stuff for holidays and events, like if I want to make my maple bourbon smash, I'll grab some Maker's Mark. Where would you say Bucking Bull bourbon comes in on is it a good mixer? Is it just something you want to have straight or over ice?
That's a great question. For me, I don't like to put too much in it. I just like a little bit of ice in there, and I just throw it right on top. But I really like to pull out the flavors. And, it's 100 proof, so it's got a little extra kick.
Nice.
But it's super smooth on the back end. Before I got involved with the company, and every barrel we've got a small batch, and they've all been aged properly for at least 5 years before it hits your mouth. So it's got some good aging to it. But before I tried it for the first time to see if this was, a bourbon I wanted to jump in with, I had my wife try it, who's not a bourbon drinker. And I didn't preface it by saying anything to her that I was interested in the company, blah, blah, blah. And I just wanted to see what she reacted to it. And she tried it, and she loved it, and she wanted it again the next night. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, this is it. This is the one. But, it makes for an incredible old-fashioned. A bunch of my buddies, they like to mix it with Coke or ginger ale or you name it. So it mixes very, very well. But if you're a bourbon lover and you really like to pull out those flavors, which we have a lot of, I suggest, and what I always do is I just throw it over a little bit of ice and call it a day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of nice to have that just kind of as you're winding down, something to give you a little bit of a kick. So 100 proof, that's pretty good. Yeah,
no, exactly. Buck and bull, and it does buck, so it's it kind of ties hand in hand there. But especially when we're out riding and we're on, filming 1883 or westerns in general, and just being around that cowboy culture. I mean, bourbon is so huge in the South, and it's such a staple. So it's been really fun to kind of get to bring this unique opportunity to not only my fans, but the culture that I've been surrounded in these days. And it's being welcomed with open arms, and haven't met a person yet that wasn't a fan. So it's making me real happy, and it's again just been so much fun.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't let you talk for a moment about you have your foot in the Star Wars universe as well. You had a voice role in the game Star Wars: The Old Republic. A, how was it doing the voices in the game? And B, were you always a Star Wars fan, or was this just kind of a job that came up and you're like, ooh, that sounds fun?
It's crazy because I ended up doing 3 video games for George Lucas. That was one, and then LucasArts did 2 video games. It was like you build roller coasters, and there's characters. It was called Thrillville, but it was under the LucasArts did them. So when I was a big Star Wars fan. To answer your question, I was geeking out, no pun intended, when I heard that George Lucas was the one writing my checks for this job, and they didn't tell us what it was when I was recording it, but it didn't take me long to figure it out once I got in there and heard all the dialogue and stuff for Old Republic. But it was a dream. I'm still a Star Wars geek, and I always will be. So that one was really cool. It was a little bit ago. I'm hoping to get on camera in one of those, because man, that just would be life changing.
Yeah, and I love the kind of a lot of people have compared The Mandalorian to kind of like the Lone Wolf and Cub, the kind of the Western type feel, the way it's been, especially the first season. So it's such a great series. So yeah, I'd say if George, if you're listening right now, Eric's up for a role in Mandalorian. Let's make it happen.
Your lips to God's ears, brother. Let's go.
And are you very active on social media? If people want to keep up with you online, website, social media handles, if people want to find out more?
Yeah. I love to hear from the fans, from anybody, honestly, on my Instagram, at Eric Nelsen Official. I'm constantly updating everybody up there. I post what's happening, post what's coming up. You can find all things Bucking Bull Bourbon on there as well. My last name is Nelsen, but for those of you who don't know me, it's spelled very interestingly. It's Nelsen, not O-N, commonly misspelled everywhere I go. I can thank my Scandinavian ancestors for that one.
Well, we'll put a link to that. So if you're listening to this right now after the fact, if we've already aired and you're listening to it in the podcast form, scroll down to the bottom of the page, and Joey V will have a link to that in the show notes. I'm very excited to try Bucking Bull. I love the label. It's so colorful. It really kind of stands out at you. The graphics on it are gorgeous. I can't wait to try the actual bourbon itself.
Thank you so much. And that was kind of part of it too. When it's on that shelf next to all the bourbons that you've seen for the last 100 years, basically, it really does pop, and the colors just kind of scream at you. And so we've seen a lot of people gravitate towards trying it just for that alone. So it's been really unique, and we had an amazing artist conceptualize it for us. So it seems to be working, especially on those dark shelves that typically those bottles are sitting on in restaurants and bars and such. So
yeah, that's business 101. You got to stand out from the crowd. I think the bottle definitely does a gorgeous job of doing that.
Well, thank you for saying that, because there was a lot of thought, and incredible artists did the work on that. And our founders, Phil and Sarah, have a massive painting in their house, and it just looks so cool.
Very neat. And again, it's Bucking Bull Bourbon.
You'll see our Bucking Bull Bourbon mobile driving around Texas all over the place. We've got this really, really badass, just blacked out Dodge Challenger with the big Bucking Bull, what you see on the bottle on the hood of it, and then it says Bucking Bull on each side, and that looks really cool.
Well, we'll be sure to watch for that. Hopefully we'll get some up here in St. Louis at some point, and we can give that a shot. I really appreciate you taking the time on a Sunday to spend some time and talk with us, and hopefully we can have you back on again at some point, maybe for that Mandalorian Season 4 or something like that.
Hey, I'm ready for it. Hey, when it happens, I'm calling you and I'm thanking you, okay?
Absolutely.
I'm going to do more than that. I'm taking you to a nice dinner, too.
Oh, we'd love it. We'd love it. Thank you again, and please tell Sainty I said hello. We had her on the show a couple months ago, and she was a delight as well, so I've had you both on now. I'm very pleased. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Eric Nelsen.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
There he goes. And again, those links will be down at the bottom of the show notes. If you scroll down there, you'll find them. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come right back, and we'll talk with Laura Alemán. I'll probably mispronounce her last name, but hopefully she'll correct me when I get her on the phone. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS. Please stand by.
Now she looks so proud. Let's give her a hand.
That's my baby.
Up, Upsy baby.
Upsy Baby, the doll that stands up. She's new from
Attention all Ghostbusters. Be on the lookout for haunted humans. Wanted, Granny Gross. She's no sweet old lady. Wanted, Tombstone Tackle. He's no hero. Wanted, Ex-Cop. He's not on your side. To catch these ghosts, you need the real Ghostbusters. There's Peter, Egon, Winston, Ray. Each sold separately. They're running out fast.
I got a wazoo, I'm gonna snuggle.
Name's Hippopotamus.
Cuddly as can be, 'cause she's part hippo and part bunny. I got a wazoo, I'm gonna snuggle.
Name's Bumbleye.
Cute as he can be, 'cause he's part lion and part bumblebee. I got a wazoo, I'm gonna snuggle.
Name's Ellaroo.
Funny, yes sirree, 'cause he's part elephant, part kangaroo. Oh, Roo! Give me a snuggle, wazoo.
Wuzzles come with their own storybook sold separately from Hasbro's.
And now, another Tyco Superblocks adventure. The dam has broken, the road's out, the town's in danger. So you grab your Tyco Superblocks and quickly build a bulldozer, a backhoe, the dump truck, the giant cranes, and the construction copter. Rushing to the scene, you clear the road, you save the town. You did it! Another great adventure with Tyco Superblocks. They work with Lego too. Tyco Superblocks, Road Builder Adventure Series. 9 building sets, each sold separately. New only from Tyco.
I know a boy, his name is Zach. He loves to fit, he loves to stack. Yes,
Comic book store sponsor. That, of course, is Bugs Comics and Games. I was just out there for Free Comic Book Day, and boy, did Larry have a crowd. It's always cool to be out there at the store, but when there's an event going on like Free Comic Book Day, it's just such fun, chaotic energy. A lot of kids running around who obviously were being introduced to comic books for the first time, and they could pick out the ones that they wanted there and kind of dip their toes in the comic book water. A lot of grown-ups who act like kids, like me, were there getting my comic books pulled. And, of course, whatever you're looking for, Larry's got it. It doesn't have to be an event to go check out Bugs Comics and Games right there on Bryan Road in O'Fallon, Missouri. You can get them from either the Page extension or from Highway 70. Easy access right there to Bryan Road. And, of course, you can get the Facebook page like Bugs Comics and Games on Facebook. Click that like button there. Larry will be thrilled. If you're looking to get into comic books, he's got a bunch of back issues. He's got new issues every Wednesday that come out. He's got a huge selection of magazines, trading cards, toys, games, all sorts of stuff. And if you join the Avengers Club, you start saving money immediately on your purchases. And in this economy, we all need to save money where we can. Don't sacrifice your hobby. Join the Avengers Club at Bugs Comics. And if you're looking to divest yourself, maybe you've got a bunch of comic books, maybe you had someone give you a bunch of comic books, and you want to kind of get rid of them, you don't know what to do with them, give Larry a call at Bugs Comics. He will give you a very, very fair price for them, and you won't have to worry about trying to go on eBay and sell them online and open up that can of worms. Once again, Bugs Comics and Games. You can check out the Facebook page, give them a like there, and go visit them on Bryan Road in O'Fallon. Very proud to have them as our official comic book sponsor here on Geek to Me Radio. My next guest is a star. She's been in broadcast in over 225 countries around the world. She's participated in more than 48 film productions. You can see her currently on Casa Grande. We've got a lot to talk about. I'm very excited to have Laura Alemán join us right now. Laura, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be with you all.
I'm so excited to have you. I was blown away. The more research I did on you, I can't imagine that you ever sleep. I mean, my goodness, you do film production, you do acting, you're a stunt woman, you write songs, you're a yoga instructor. I'm like, I don't know when she has time to act with all this other stuff she has going on, but it's fascinating to look over your career.
Oh, it's been quite a journey. I've been hustling since I'm a teenager, and it's been more than a privilege to be able to learn from such amazing and talented people throughout my career. So more than honored to keep having the opportunity to work in the things I love.
And so obviously we do a lot of pop culture stuff here, and we kind of lean into the comic book genre. So we're going to talk about your origin story. You started acting very young. Your mom was a vocal teacher. Was it just always kind of like in your blood? Did you know right out of the gate that acting and performing is what you wanted to do with your life?
I knew that performing was going to be my route to go. I remember being in the theater when I was a little kid. I was probably 4 years old, 5 years old, and my mom was doing this variety show in the capital of San Juan in Puerto Rico, and I was fascinated. Every time I was in the green room, seeing the dancers, seeing the wardrobe, seeing the show itself was something that really made me passionate and excited every night that she had a show. She used to do 137 shows per year, and I started working there as one of those children in the play. And I knew that I wanted to do something there. I didn't know quite yet if I wanted to be a dancer or a singer or an actress, but I did a bit of everything, and it always felt like it was meant to be. So thankfully I had my mom to impart the discipline and the focus that I needed in order to develop and better myself as a performer overall. And here I am.
And you got a BA in acting and also in film production, and I guess that served you quite well. You starred in and produced a short film called An Outfit, which I believe, if I'm correct, it's in post-production. It's not out yet. Am I correct?
Actually, it's already done.
Oh, wow, okay.
We've submitted it to a few festivals. I've been producing for a long time, actually, but I've never called myself a producer because I didn't feel like I deserved the title. Like, I needed to have more experience in order to feel that I was a full-time producer. And I've been doing producing in media and advertising and short films, like The Great Elephant and a few other, like The Unnameable short film. And then The Outfit was that one project that I felt very passionate about, and I felt like I could already own the title. So yeah, it's coming soon in festival circuit, and I cannot wait to share that experience as well.
And not that I'm trying to push you into more and more things, but have you, like, directing, is that ever on your, like, I want to be, do some direct, because a lot of actors, transition in directing, they find they like it better. And now that you've already gotten the producer hat on, is there any goals of directing later on?
It's been a lifelong dream. I remember being in college and having a few directing classes and falling fully in love with it. And I've always had this thirst. Every time I go into a project, I feel like I get closer and closer to the role because I always put my creative input and I speak my voice. And I've been writing scripts with a few colleagues, and I've had amazing mentors throughout my career. And it's something that I'm looking forward to. The opportunity hasn't come yet, but I'm sure that I will make it work at some point. But yes, it is something that I'm very, very passionate about.
Given your resume so far, I have no doubt that you will make it work somehow at some point with everything else you've already accomplished. I want to talk for a moment about being a stunt woman, because I find that fascinating. Was that something, how did that, because it seems like when you're acting, you're doing acting, and I know some actors like to do their own stunts, but then actually doing stunts on a show like one of my favorite shows, Royal Pains. How did you get into the stunt work aspect of it?
Oh, that was a crazy story. So I started doing this role called Matilda on the series Cleaners for Sony Pictures.
Yeah.
You can find it out on Crackle TV. And I had to train for 3 months before I actually went into the role, and we started producing the series. And I made very good friends with the fight coordinator, and he said I had a lot of potential, so he started training me individually. And I started getting into a few gigs before I actually moved to LA. And then I kind of stopped and didn't continue my training, so I can't not call myself a stunt. Actually, my boyfriend is a fight coordinator and a stunt actor, and he's incredibly talented. And all the discipline and the hours that they put into training is quite it's quite impressive. So I can't call myself a full stunt actress, but it's something that as well I'm very passionate about, and every time I have the opportunity, I go and train. And yeah, hopefully I get to do a role that has all those elements that I want to perform in the near future.
And again, I mentioned Royal Pains. That's we love that series. And I know as we watched it, the people stunts would range from anything from getting in a small scuffle on a golf course to falling off a big boat out in the bay and everything like that. Do you remember the stunts that you did particularly?
Yeah, I did a few stunts. I did some falls from buildings. I did some falls from bikes. They were all basically falls. Nothing big, no choreographies, no martial arts. But yes, I did a few of those that required to have the skill set, but not to be an experienced stunt.
And I want to talk to you about Casa Grande, which is on Freevee. You can catch that series on there. It was released in both English and Spanish as of May 1st. So if you're listening right now, you can go catch that on Freevee. This role, it's very interesting because it's like I saw a panel that was done with you, several of the other actors, including we just heard James Marsters bringing us back from commercial break there, and the producers and writers. And it's such a fascinating story. And I love that the writers and the producers of the show wanted that authenticity in the families who are playing the Hispanic family, and it's such a great thing to see that kind of attention to detail from the writers and directors. If you would talk a little bit about getting the role first of all, and then how it's been to be on the show.
Well, it was a beautiful experience, I have to say. It's if not the most significant role, it's one of the most significant roles I've done throughout my career. I got my audition, and I actually booked straight from audition, which was
wow.
It was a privilege. I couldn't believe it. I remember my manager came home to give me the news, and he was so excited. I was extremely ecstatic. I couldn't believe it. It was such a powerful role. Paula is a very loving, unpretentious human who has an impassioned spirit and feels emotions deeply. So I really feel connected to her. Mm-hmm. I relate to her. And I also studied a lot Dolores Huerta, and I'm surrounded by amazing, talented, and incredible people who have gone through such lengths to be able to be in the United States and sustain their family. So it was more than an honor for me to be able to interpret Paula.
And it's such a great cast. We mentioned James Marsters, but Daniel Edward Moore is in it. Kate Manzi from Days of Our Lives is in it. Just a fabulous cast that's been assembled with it. And so I can only imagine as an actor to be among that caliber of talent, it almost, I would think, kind of makes you want to kind of up your game a little bit more, go in and kind of like give it a little bit more of a performance. Not that you don't always do that in every role, but I would think that the more that is put into the production and the people you're surrounded with kind of forces you to kind of give it a little bit more, as it were.
Yes, definitely. I've always looked for roles that push me and challenge me more as a performer. I had the privilege to have Michael D. Cohen coach me through it. Also, Jesse Garcia, who's actually starting. He's the lead of Flaming Hot. You have to see this movie. He was very supportive. He's one of my best friends, and he spent weeks and weeks long, like running lines and go over the character and its intentions and backstory with me. And so I really built Paula from a very special place with people that I love and respect and admire. And again, a beautiful honor to be with such an incredibly talented cast who really made me up my game.
And again, if you're just now tuning in, we're talking with Laura Alemán. Are you okay to stick with me through a brief commercial break, Laura?
For sure.
Perfect. We're going to come right back and chat more with her. Again, if you have a question or a text, if you wanted to text us in, the KTRS text lines are at 314-931-58. I'm sorry, that's the phone number. If you want to text us your question, it's 84126. Just put, this is Brian from O'Fallon, or this is Dawn from Belleville, and we'll read your text live on the air if you have a question for Laura. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS. Please stand by.
Wood beats water! Battle beast, battle for the fun of it. Just activate their battle badges.
I got fire, I got water, water beats fire.
Battle beast,
Wood, fire, fire beats wood.
battle beast can grow into an army.
Collect all 84.
Battle beast.
Yo, Burgundy, chew on this.
You'll never cut the mustard, mean winner!
Food fight!
Your history, Private Pizza. Pow! And
and your lunch. Combat curtain. Fire!
What's going on?
Joycelyn is food again, Mom.
Food fighters, figures in combat carton each sold separately. Toys do not walk and talk.
A new racing team is shifting into gear. Mask.
Tracker's seen us. Don't race off on my account, Mayhem.
Mask, Buzzard, and Goliath, each sold separately with 2 figures.
Buzzard, convert. Ron, you flag cover. I'm heading upstairs, Nevada. Roger, Matt. Okay, Mayhem. This round's for you.
Mask, where illusion is the ultimate weapon. Mask, Goliath, and Buzzard each sold separately. New from Kenner.
Evil viruses are attacking the world's computers, and the computer warriors have been generated to stop them. A soccer trophy changes into an evil techno tank, forcing the computer warriors down. Hiding in a Pepsi can, the computer warriors fight back and deliver a direct hit. But the viruses keep coming, so the computer warriors convert a clock into a digital laser blaster and wipe out the virus air attack.
Radio. I can't tell you how exhausting it's been humoring this geek. He is terribly costly and time-consuming. I ask for mercy, and there is none to be had with this geek.
We are back. The great Ed Asner. What a tragic loss. I know I was very upset when we found out that he had passed away, but I was so glad we had him on the show. If you've not had a chance to check out some of our other broadcasts, you can go to geektomeradio.com and check out our full catalog of all the different people we've had on the show for over 350 episodes now. It's hard to believe that in August will be 7 years on the radio. Very, very hard to believe. And Joey V's been sitting across from me for the entire 7 years, making the show sound and look as good as it does. Wouldn't be able to do it without Joey V. I want to make sure we tell you very quickly about our official food sponsor, which, of course, Steve's Hot Dogs and Steve's Meltdown. I was so bummed they had May the 4th. This past Thursday, and for May the 4th, he brought back the Stormtrooper hot dog, and it's so funny because I was in there at his location on Grand. We had lunch, and I was like, oh, you got to bring back the Stormtrooper dog, and he's like, well, we bring it back occasionally. He brought it back on May the 4th, and I didn't get to make it down there. Hopefully, Steve, if you're listening, we can have that come back for another occasion soon. But if you like specialty hot dogs, if you like hot dogs in general, this is the official hot dog of St. Louis. Absolutely legendary. All beef hot dogs, cold smoked, grilled, topped with perfection. Fresh baked buns, and my wife is gluten-free, so of course they had gluten-free buns, which made her day. A great menu, showcases a lot of flavor profiles, sweet, spicy, savory, and the fries are some of the best French fries you've ever had in your life. It's worth going down there just to get a big old basket of fries on the side. Play the arcade, the Miss Pac-Man Galaga arcade machine they've got there in their Grand location. Of course, if you're online, maybe you want some food delivered, I don't feel like going out tonight. You Grubhub or DoorDash and go to steveshotdogsstl.com. Here's the thing. This is where knowing me pays off a little bit for you. If you enter the code GEEKTOME, GEEKTOME at online checkout, you save $5 off your order of $25 or more, which would really come in handy if you get that hot dog flight. That way you can test a couple different hot dogs while you're there. It's a great way. So you're wallet and your stomach are going to thank me for it. Again, it's Geek to Me at checkout, steveshotdogsstl.com. If you love hot dogs, you got to check them out, Steve's Hot Dogs. We're talking with Laura Alemán about her roles. We were talking about Casa Grande before we went to commercial break, and we were talking a little bit about the outfit, too. When this project came along, Laura, to star in it and produce it, it must have been something you really fell in love with this particular project.
Yes, it was indeed something that I felt very passionate about. An outfit is a short film that is meant to empower women, especially mothers. Postpartum depression is the main focus of this short film, and it's a serious issue, and it is something that we hear about but don't really talk about often. And body changes after having babies is a real issue. And so when Isaias Perez reached out to talk about this project and the possibility of me starring in it, it was an immediate yes after I read it. And I feel more than privileged to have given life to Araceli, which is the leading character for this story.
And you spent some time training, if I'm not mistaken, with the ballet troupe there in Puerto Rico, the National Puerto Rican Ballet. When you're dancing and then you're writing songs and everything, I would think, some people are either left brain or right brain. It seems like with all the different stuff you do, you're using your entire brain the entire time. Do you feel like there's one aspect that you personally feel more comfortable when you're dancing, when you're songwriting, when you're acting? When do you feel most at home? What role do you feel is like, this is my wheelhouse?
I mean, I can't really pinpoint and say this is something that it's exclusively what makes me passionate, because when I'm dancing, there's one side of Laura that comes forward. There's that passionate, careless person who really wants to just express herself. When I'm writing songs, I'm really digging into who I am as a person and the life stories that I've managed so far. When I'm acting, I bring all of those elements onto the table, and so I can't really say one or the other. I think that all of those are part of who I am and are the different faces that I represent.
And with all the different hats you wear, too, people always talk about an actor's greatest asset is, and I know it varies actor by actor, but for you personally, whether you're doing stunt work, whether you're doing, whether you're producing, whether you're whatever it is you're doing, what do you think is your greatest tool in your toolbox as an actor?
I believe, and I stand firmly on this point, I believe that being from Puerto Rico and having gone through the experiences, the life challenges that I've experienced, has been my superpower. There has been so many challenges, and I've had such a great perspective being from Puerto Rico and actually seeing how many challenges, I can't call it anything else, the challenges that come with being Puerto Rican, also the pride that comes from it, coming from a culture that is so passionate, that is so giving, so connected, and so supportive, and also stands firmly by integrity and compassion. That is something that I really feel that makes me who I am and I stand by. If that makes any sense.
It does. Well said. Yes, I think it makes perfect sense. And with stuff, you're doing all these projects. Do you have anything else project-wise that's coming up that we can watch for you in?
Yes. Well, as I mentioned before, keep an eye out for an outfit. It's coming out on the festival circuit. There's several festivals who have shown interest, and I'm very excited to share that story with y'all. I also just finished doing Casa Pura, casually, Pure House. It's a film that I did in Puerto Rico, co-starring with Giancarlo Canela, with Mariana Monclova, with so many incredibly talented Latino actors, and it's a very moving story. It will come out next year, and I'm very excited to share as well that story. Again, it's one of the most beautiful roles I've done, as well as Casa Grande. Casa Grande you can see at Freevee, Amazon Freevee. If you are not familiar with the platform, if you have Amazon Prime, you can also access it through it. It will actually fill your heart with love, passion, anger, and so many other elements that makes us human. I am very excited for all the things that are to come, and I can't wait to see how it plays.
Very, very cool. And if people want to keep up with you online, are you active on social media? Are there social media handles you can give out or websites where people can go and find out more about you and keep up?
Yes, for sure. You can find me on IG, Instagram, at Laura Alemán Official, LauraAleman, or on Twitter, Alemán Laura, Facebook as well, Laura Alemán Official, or you can go to my website, lauraaleman.com.
Perfect. And we'll have, if you're listening to this after the fact, just scroll down to the bottom of the page. We'll have links to those in the show notes for you to click on, and you can follow her across all there and keep up with you. And I'd love to have you back on again sometime. This has been, I love talking to you. I know I was in Puerto Rico. My sister was stationed there in the Navy, and we got to go through El Yunque Rainforest, which was gorgeous. And
yes.
It's such a beautiful, beautiful place. If you haven't visited Puerto Rico, my goodness, you really should plan a trip. It's a great place to visit.
Yes. El Yunque. That's the heart of our island, our beautiful island. So I really recommend you go visit and get to know the people. You will make sense of everything I've said here once you do.
Absolutely. Laura Alemán, thank you so much again for your time, and have a good rest of your night. Thanks for the time on a Sunday. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I hope that I get to actually be here again. Thank you for giving me the space, and wishing you the best of nights.
Thank you. Continued success. We'll hopefully have you on again soon.
Beautiful. Bye.
Bye. Take care. There she goes. Great. The Casa Grande show, I watched the trailer and I started to watch the first episode, and I ran out of time before I had to go to Toy Man Toy Show today. And but I can't wait to finish the series, because I mean, just what I saw of the first episode just pulls you right in. So if you're listening and you're looking for something new to watch, like she said, it's on Freevee. If you already have Amazon Prime, you already have it. It's the same. We watched Leverage Redemption from Dean Devlin is on the Freevee as well. So a lot of great shows on that platform. So make sure you check that out. And I'm very grateful to Laura for her time. We just got a few minutes left, and I know Joey V saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, as did I. Did you have as far as ranking wise, did you like this one? Would you give it how many stars out of 10?
I would give this 9 out of 10. This was so much fun, and it's great to think about just the drama behind the movie too. James Gunn fired after Guardians 2, brought back for the holiday special and this one, which were so much more fun than any of the other Marvel movies, in my opinion. This is just so fun, so hilarious, so gross.
Yeah,
like, this is really pushing the PG-13 with the violence, but you see a decapitated something head, but then there's little wires hanging out of the bottom. Like, oh, it's not a human.
Right.
That's not blood, that's goo. So much fun.
I enjoyed it. I think of the three, I think the second one is still my favorite, but this was enjoyable. I've got little quibbles, like I thought Adam Warlock, they kind of wasted that character. I know they're setting him up for something, but it wasn't the best introduction to a Marvel character. We were treated much more with Namor in Wakanda Forever. He just felt, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything because I know it's the first weekend, so I'll stop. I won't get into a lot of spoilery stuff, but in my opinion, they kind of wasted the character of Adam Warlock. Hopefully, we're probably going to see more of him, because Will Poulter, I'm sure, is not just a one and done.
He worked out for some reason.
Yeah.
He got yoked, jacked.
Yeah. So
he starts the whole movie in motion, but you do forget about him, and then he comes back. Oh yeah, what's his name? Goldface.
Yeah, Goldface. That's a DC Comics villain. We're not going to make that mistake. But no,
just like James Gunn, the DC Comics villain now.
Now he's back with DC. So, but I was. Again, I don't want to spoil because it's the first week and it just opened, so it'd be unfair for me to say some of the stuff that I want to say, but I was surprised. I will say a lot of surprises for me personally in this movie, but it was very emotional. It's probably the most emotional of the Guardians movies so far. Yeah, it's kind of hard not to get there. I mean, when I left my screen, there wasn't a dry eye in the house.
I mean, it was going on with your tissues, like tissue, sir.
Like
sir?
Literally, the woman next to me, she said, I've got this blanket with me. I said, oh, are you cold? She goes, no, I'm going to sob into it. I was like, oh, well, I wish I'd brought mine knowing what I know now. But it's a very emotional, packs a punch. And I think, you're there for the music, and he delivers there on the soundtrack front, just like he did in the first two. People are already listening to this and we've got Chance. I just noticed I haven't been paying attention to the chat, so I apologize. Chance from the Nostalgic Pod Blast says he thought it was very sad too, Volume 3.
And the best part, St. Louis reference again.
Yes. I know.
St. Charles, if you want to be pedantic, they are a sponsor, but yes, St.
Right, yeah. My sponsor sponsored. So they're one of the sponsors that you can see them in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That's
Very
how big
cool,
this
St.
show
Charles.
is, folks. I'm
Thanks
just telling you.
for that.
We're wrapping it up here. I can't believe it's already coming to the end of the show. I do want to thank again my guests, Eric Nelsen and Laura Alemán. I now know how to pronounce her name. I wasn't sure at first. She was very kind and told me how to pronounce it before I picked her up on the phone there. But two fantastic guests. Make sure you check out their projects. Again, Joey V will have links to those in the show notes. It's not time yet. I'm just getting it ready. But yeah, we've got a lot to cover for the rest of the month. We've got wall-to-wall guests next week. Paul Eiding, the voice of Perceptor from Transformers. A lot of video game voices as well. But I'm excited. He'll be on the show along with Michelle Danner talking about some of her work. The week after that, the week of the 21st, we've got Dietrich Bader on the show. Very excited to talk to him. Once again, thanks to all my sponsors, the City of St. Charles, Greater St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau, Bugs, Comics and Games, Steve's Hot Dogs, and
It's not in the way you watch I Zombie. It's not in the way you watch The Flash.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Stevenson. Uncovering an extremist past. The investigation into the gunman who was shot to death by police yesterday in Allen, Texas.
KTR.